Hello, everybody, all across the globe. This is Greatman Lara, and I'm so excited to have every single one of you here with me today. And thank you for joining me. Thank you very much. Today, we want to talk about something I actually titled Raising Our Own Kind of Leaders. Raising Our Own Kind of Leaders. And using fostering and parenting as a tool to actually raise this set of leaders, because we are in a situation in this country where if we don't do something about the decadence of leadership that we have right now, we might have the whole country under the sea or under the ocean in no time, both financially, morally, and also. The other time I was on the internet, and a certain Ghanaian professor, a certain Nigerian professor in Ghana was actually talking about how Nigerians pay a lot of dollars, thousands of dollars to obtain education abroad, while they cannot pay that kind of money here in Nigeria. What I have to say about that, the man was eventually being sacked by Ghanaian government because they felt he backstabbed them. He was telling them that Ghanaian education is 80% inferior to Nigerian education. See, this country, we have a lot of things to offer the world. Have you ever wondered when you go to a certain country or you hold your green passport and people get scared of you? Now, there is a positive and negative part to that fear that they have towards you, because just like the symbolic Jewish nation, anywhere we get to, we just overtake. We multiply, we just take over things in terms of knowledge, in terms of education, in terms of oratory skill, in terms of strategy, in terms of everything that could make a nation become a nation. Nigeria have the best of it. Check us out all across the globe and you realize that we are doing a lot to contribute to the GDP of other countries, to contribute to the economy of other countries, to the social infrastructure of so many countries. But what is wrong with us? We have oil, we have crude oil in Nigeria, but it seems as if we are the poorest nation in the whole of Africa. We have actually discovered oil beyond, or even far away beyond some people's knowledge of oil. When did Ghana started doing refinery? And their Ghana cedi is just few Ghana cedis to dollar. It's about 3 or 4 Ghana cedis to dollars. And in Nigeria, we have almost 400 naira to Ghana cedi. It's such a mess. It is such a mess. So we can't go on like this. And we try to look at the whole thing and talking away from the issue of the religious leader, the religious sect. We also have the leadership cancer that is eating this nation so deep. The leadership cancer. Everybody want to go to the place of leadership in this country as a way to make themselves rich, not for humanitarian service, not for public service anymore. Everybody would, and there's this sentiment around Nigerian people. They always say that, okay, let us vote for our own people, is our own people, is our own person, and all that. See, when we want to, if we want to really make this country become a better country, we can't afford to keep running it with sentiment. This issue of, okay, it's not capable, it's not worthy of it, but then because he came from my village, I'm going to vote for him, it's my tribesman, I'm going to vote for him, and all that is actually sinking this nation every single time. And if you take a look around what is happening in the country these days, you realize that it's a recycling of the same set of people over and over again. There is no new face. If an organization is actually relying or leaning on the knowledge of old staff for so long, there won't be innovation, there won't be progression, and there won't be success. That is what is happening in Nigeria right now. We have the same set of leaders that has been ruling this nation from the 60s, who are still in this country till now. So I begin to wonder, when will things change? When will things change? When are we going to rise up? But then when you look at the history of the mythology of trying to make a change, you realize that there are two sets of people that change can affect. We have, let me put them in terms of a fish. You know, we have the old fish that is dried up already. And we have the fresh fish that can still be kept. You see, when you try to carve a old fish, or you try to do something or amend an old fish, it's going to break. It won't be an easy task. In fact, it's going to be a total clamp down of a system, of an organization, of a firm. But when you try to focus your energy on training the new fish on how to live their life when they grow old or they become of table size, you realize that they automatically just change their mindset. That's why I said, okay, shall we continue to drag our leaders forever? Shall we continue to say, okay, Buhari is this, Jonathan is that, Obasanjo is this and all that? We know these men have failed us. They have totally failed us. I'm not in support of their myopic mentality of governance, because it is very wrong. You know? But then the issue of the younger ones who want to also come on board, you realize that they also have their own flaws. Showore want to be this, Mogalu want to be that, this one want to be that. Okay, what about a simple coalition? Come together, form a collated front, so that when you move, we will have an indivisible force. Let's take the reign of power. Let's hijack the power from them, and then we begin to spread our tentacles. We appoint ourselves in ministers and all that. But they don't want to do that. So the older generation has failed Nigeria, and the younger ones that we are looking up to are coming with this aluta mentality. They think, okay, this is about activism. And this is what I tell people. I said, Nigeria is too diversified. Nigeria is too big for any kind of aluta mentality. This is not a country you come to and you have so much emotion and you become so emotional. No, Nigeria is so sensitive. You need to know how to deal with everybody equally as the father of nation. So when we see your campaign plan and your manifesto as something that has to benefit your own people alone, or it actually portrays some level of myopic mentality or mindset toward the country, you can't be the president of a nation. That's the truth. When Showore was coming on board, the only reason why I didn't go for Showore was because he was too rash in his own approach. He was too rash in his own approach. So I'm not saying don't be radical. Be radical. I'm a radical person also. But then I'm saying that there are elites in these cities, in this nation, in this society, whom your radical approach will not help. There are elites. You need to be able to know when to be radical, when to be rascal, when to be an hooligan in your political ambition, and when to be calm, and when to present your point in a way that we can get it. There is bad profile already. You can't go to the palace to go and fight the king. You can't go to this and fight this one. You can't obstruct that, and then we say, we want to give you the right of election to be our president. It's going to be a big risk. I'm not saying Showore cannot be the president of this nation. Maybe in 2023, if he has gotten his act together, I will be one of the people that will say, okay, let's vote for Showore. But then there is a bit of political immaturity in his approach. I'm not sorry to say that. I'm not a politician. I'm just saying my own. You are free to actually disagree with me. But then what about the old folks that is already on ground? We learned about how Obasanjo was actually, the Obasanjo farm, Ota farm, was being financed by the federal government. How can your private business be financed by the federal government? Since 1990, Gbogboro, that the man came into power. Can you imagine that the federal government is the one paying the staff of his own personal farm? So when Obasanjo, Buhari got there, he actually detected that and they stopped it. He started writing letter. The pastors who have been feeding fat and be using their private jets to actually launder political money out of this country and use their private jet to also bring arms and ammunition into the country, they began to flare up because maybe Buhari is not giving them a free hand. One of your favorite pastors actually sold 2 of his private jet because he wasn't paying anger fee in the time of Jonathan. All these things, we know it. They began to go broke and they say, okay, Buhari cannot get there. Now we say, okay, in the face of evil, let's choose the better evil. That was why majority of Nigerians went for Buhari, not because Buhari is perfect and all that. And we hear people say, okay, he's a killer, is this and all that. I keep wondering, okay, have you ever caught this man killing people? I'm not making a case for him. He has failed us in so many occasions. Okay, what about the issue of all the money they have been recuperating and be taking back? What is the direct effect of those money in our national development so far? That's where I don't understand it. And it's their style, the APC style of leadership, whereby if you are a thief of PDP, you are to be caught by law. But if you are a thief of APC, then you are discharged and acquitted. It's wrong. Very wrong. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is there making the mess of the nation, turning into a private property. Buhari is there not able to take a very good stance. When he came into power, we are all happy because they said body language, body language. Everybody started behaving, but now it's messed up. Things are messed up. How many of those men that were caught in corruption have been jailed? There is no jailing. In fact, most of the things they do to us in this nation, those corrupt leaders, they are meant to be killed outrightly. They are supposed to be killed long time ago. When 2 or 3 of them are killed or sentenced to life imprisonment, they will sit right. That's where I flop Buhari in his own style. And the Biafran people are there. Okay, what are you doing about the Biafran people? I found this current government as a very unjust government. Now, the president is Hausa man, the vice president is Yoruba man, the speaker is an Hausa man, the deputy speaker is South, then the what do you call it, the Senate president, you know, all these things is between the Hausa and the Yoruba. What about the Igbo? You don't want to give the Igbo their Biafra to go, and you are not including them in the power, and you think they will be happy with you. Gone are those days when you actually rule or favor the side of the country that actually voted for you. This is democracy. It has to go round. I am not behind any nepotism, sentiment, and all of those things. But I'm saying we need to check into our gridlock of leadership in this country. And you begin to realize that a lot of things that we call leadership, most of these men, they don't know what leadership means. None of them know what leadership means. Talking about the pastors, the sheikh, the rest of them, they felt leadership is a situation whereby one person is being fed and being nurtured by the rest of the people. Whereas leadership is servitude. Leadership is a place where you go into to do servitude. I know that Pastor Sunday Adelaja of Ukraine has been doing a lot of series recently regarding leadership and stewardship and all that. If you care to listen, you can just log into his own platform and learn from him. I know he's doing a lot of great job regarding that. You know, we are not best of friends. I am against so many of his doctrine and I have a lot to ask him as a question. But then if he's doing something right, I should actually recommend. Go to his platform, learn about this issue of leadership, the way he's talking about it. I think this man is skillful in that regard. So I'm saying tonight that leadership is not even a gift. Some of our people felt like leadership is a gift. I, as a leader of Greatminds Global Network, I still have my own flaws. Sometimes I get so emotional. Sometimes I get so irrational. Sometimes I take some decisions that are not meant to be taken. I take a lot of risk. Sometimes I even plunge beyond my own calculation and resources. But then we learn in the process. So that shows me that leadership is not a gift. Leadership is an art. It's an art. And what do you do to an art? You learn it. You learn art. You learn art. Leadership is not something that God created as a total package of humanity with you while coming from heaven. So what I'm trying to say in the other hand is that there is no one who cannot be a leader if you are ready to learn how to be a leader. So enough of the inferiority complex. Enough of you saying, okay, should go and do it. You too can do it. How can you do it? You become a leader in your own corner, in your own community. If we ask you, how is your leadership skill in your own family? Some of you, your wife cannot even give a good CV of your leadership skill. And you always bring the load of leadership on people who are speaking out, who are angry, who are depressed. Sometimes some of these things that we see as okay, it's a leader, is a show of depression, where someone is always shouting, making trouble, making comment and all that. We no go agree, we no go agree. We see it as a form of leadership, okay, the voice of the voiceless and all that. But then you realize that the moment this person gets settled, they retract back and they withdraw. That's why you see them start a course and then they run out of the country. They leave you alone. That shows that their leadership is not something that they do intentional. It's not something intentional. It's not something they want to deliberately do to cause a change. It's as a result of their own frustration. So many people we call leaders today, they are being perceived as leader because of frustration. That's why someone will come on here because maybe he has a huge number of listening and automatically install on himself the title of a religious leader, and all of you will follow him and say, okay, he's preaching well, he's preaching well. Whereas the person is just frustrated, shouting. You don't even know if I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm frustrated. No, no, no. I got you there. I'm not frustrated. I'm doing this intentionally, and I want to see a change. A change. Now, are we saying those people who are shouting and crying and all that do not have a role to play in the overall leadership scheme? They have a role to play. Sometimes we can put them in some parastatus where their own temperament and their nature can function well. What if we fix someone like a Showore in EFCC and give him autonomy of power to pursue all the criminals? Do you know how many criminals will be in jail now? We should understand, okay, in my own leadership, what is my scope of leadership? And what is my specialty? Leadership, I appreciate a specialty. What area of life do you want to specialize in? Remember, I told you that leadership is not a gift, it is an art. You can learn leadership. Everybody can be a leader. So none of you listening to me right now should think of yourself as inferior to becoming a leader at the end of the day. None of you should think of yourself as, okay, I must be the one who follows all the time. You can lead a cause. It might not be so mega, it might not be so huge, but you can lead a cause in your own private corner. It's an art, you can learn it. Leadership cannot be academically learned, but it is actually morally imbibed. Which shows me that leadership is not a matter of going to school to go and learn leadership 101 or something like that. This is not a matter of going to Pan-African University or Lagos Business School to go and learn MBA and all that. It's something that is morally imbibed, morally imbibed, morally imbibed. And then you can only do that by mentoring. Mentoring. You can learn leadership by subscribing to mentoring. I'm not talking about spiritual fatherism that you people do in churches and all this slave of sheikh that you people do in Moscow. I'm talking about ability to be able to ask your fellow, the person that mentors you, questions. Ability to query their morals, to query their decision. Ability to liaise with them. I'm a child of God, and I believe in the scripture. There's a part in the scripture written by Isaiah that says that, come, let us reason together. That is the Almighty God Yahweh saying to human beings, come, let us reason together. He said, if you are guilty as scarlet, I'm going to make you as white as snow. That shows that we have a God in heaven who appreciates our leadership scheme. He gave us the free will to be able to do things, and he wants us to dialogue with them. Who is the man that you cannot dialogue with? You think everybody knows it all? I don't know it all. On this platform, you see many times some people come with their different opinion from what I hold. I don't have to block them. I don't have to abuse them or curse them. I just, okay, welcome. And I've learned a lot from people, a lot from people. So those who find themselves in a place of leadership should know that they don't know it all. That people might know more than they do also. So leadership actually is morally imbibed through mentoring for N duration. So our leadership ability and our ability to actually learn leadership on time depends on individuality. Some people could learn leadership within a space of time that is very short. Some start to be a long span of time. So no one is beyond being able to lead. I also want to say that leadership is a responsibility to be pointed out in every human being. Everyone has the ability to be a leader, but then it has to be pointed out. It has to be pointed out. Talk to someone today and tell them, I believe in you. Those words of encouragement. Our next president might be lying in your household. You might be the father of the next president of this nation. You might be a school father or a mentor to the next president of this nation. They just need a word of encouragement. But we are so entangled in a situation and society whereby it's easy for us to condemn each other. We are always looking for everybody's fault. I'm not talking about outright people who are hurting the society. I'm talking about people who are trying their best and we just want to mess their life up. Then we have an increase in the rise of suicide and all that. I heard that the federal government actually banned the use of sniper to be sold in every... Will that actually stop depression in this country or suicide mission? There are many ways to die than sniper. We need to be able to tell people that we believe in them, we trust them, they can do better, they are better than this and all of those things. So it has to be pointed out. Another thing I want you to know is that leadership is a necessity for transformation and reformation. Leadership is a necessity for transformation and reformation. If you want to see a reformation or transformation and you are not investing in leadership, you're actually deceiving yourself. I got a lot a lot of elderly folks on my platform. They respect me, I respect them. They believe in me. They come to my inbox, they pick up their phone, they call me, they tell me you can do better. I trust what you are doing. I believe in you. I support you. Do you know what that is doing to me? I believe that, okay, people believe in me. I want to be the best of myself. I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to mess things up. I don't want to mess things up. These people are always pointing me in the right direction, telling me that, okay, we believe in this, this one will go wrong, okay, we have this experience, and I'm able to actually collate all these experiences according to the Spirit of God in me, and say, okay, this one is actually saying what God wants me to hear. This one is actually saying it for their own selfish opinion. But in the day and age where everyone who is older than you want to hone you and monitor you and control you and twist you and influence you to achieve their own dream, not your own dream. I'm not telling young men to submit to that kind of leadership. No. So leadership is something that you must actually point out in people. Look at people, check out their qualities, see what they are capable of doing, and encourage them. Say the right word to someone right next to you today. There's a child in your estate around you. There is a woman who is lamenting and crying, who will believe in me, who will tell me the right word. Are you saying the right word to people? That's why I said to people that come, the way to achieve divinity is only through humanity. How much of your investment is going into humanity? Not only in terms of your money or your resources or your clothing, but in terms of your time, quality time, good advice that is void of emotion and selfishness. And lastly, I'm going to say that leadership is an intentional parenting and fostering agenda. It is an intentional parenting and fostering agenda. And this will make me tell you a little thing. When I started speaking out against religious amalgamation and idiosyncrasies among Nigerians and Africa as a whole, and I started pointing out the errors of the government roughly a year now publicly, I realized that, okay, I've been doing a lot of things. I've been exerting a lot of my energy trying to talk to people when they are not listening. It seems as if I'm wasting my time. And I sat down, I said, there must be a strategy to this. And I didn't know the strategy was actually lying before me all the while. And I didn't know. And I was thinking, okay, if I could talk to people, get them to change, stop going to church and all that, I'm going to create the kind of leadership, the kind of leaders we want, because there is no leadership in Nigeria. Let's just say that. That's a fact. Be it religious leader or political leader. So I said to myself, okay, what do? I now started meditating. And this initiative of fostering homes and shelters came into my head. Like, fostering homes and shelters? What do we do about that? And the Spirit started talking to me, saying that, come, you can only raise your kind of leaders. You can't change the set of leaders that you already have. Because you can only tell people the truth. You can't dictate for them what to do with the truth that you tell them. And when a child gets to the age that they have actually formed their own hypothesis of life, it only takes divine intervention for them to begin to reason and think the way you think. Because what experiences and the harsh condition of life help them to form that hypothesis. Maybe geographical location where they are located, the way they are exposed into the world, social media, parental guardians and all that help us to form our hypothesis in life. And God began to tell me that, come, you need to raise the kind of leaders you want. And that's the idea of the Greatminds foster homes and shelter. You see, what we want to build around Greatminds foster homes and shelter is to actually absorb children who are homeless and sleeping around under the bridge, under the tarpaulin, into a home, a form of foster home, and provide them with 3 levels of parenting module. The number 1 module is to actually work with volunteers who are couples, who live in the close proximity to where we have our facilities. And we just tell them to move into that facility. Now, the reason why we need them to live into the close proximity is because we are not going to be paying them per se. We want them to retain their daily job, their daily life. We don't want to interrupt with it. Okay, it's a normal thing when you have children, you still go to work, right? You source for a living. That's what we're saying. Move into the house, help us to train the children, and then still go to source for your daily living. We'll be supporting you with the help of a nanny. And then the second level of parenting is the generation Y. parenting level, where we have a lot of old men and women who are retirees in the country. Unfortunately for Nigeria, we don't have old people's home in Nigeria per se. So this particular foster homes and shelter is going to be serving as the old people home for these people. So we're going to be doing exchange program. Maybe a teacher who is retired, a doctor who is retired, and all that. We need them to give a cushion for these children in these foster homes and shelters. So in exchange, they come to live in a home. They become a granny to the children. They share their wisdom with the children, and in exchange, the children, they have to take care of them, maybe clothing and sending errands. Those old people, we pay them stipends, and we also clothe them, we also feed them. I grew up in a certain family setting where when my grandmother comes around, we kind of act spoiled. It's like a treat for us. It's like, okay, grandma is around, there's not going to be harsh condition and those things. We want to create that kind of environment for the children also. Just that this is going to be strangers becoming a family. So that's the second level of parenting. The last level of parenting is the Generation X parenting style. You're watching me right now. You want to be a mentor to any of our children in the home. You are doing well in your various field and all that. We are going to just pair you with a child. The children are going to be in our custody, living in the home and shelters. But they're going to be keeping in touch with you. Maybe you have family function and all that. We can bring them and we take them back to the home. You have to be a registered mentor under Greatminds Global Network. You are doing well and you are making sense. We just want you to replicate your legacy on these children. Okay, how are you making ends meet? And sometimes we've seen a case whereby a mentor eventually adopt a child in terms of financing the child, sponsoring the child, and all of those things. We want them to have this present parenting model, the past parenting model in terms of the grannies, and the next parenting model in terms of mentoring. And all of these mentors are going to be well examined. There's going to be huge background check for them, and there's going to be extensive medical checkup and examination on them. We don't want anybody infecting our children. We don't want people with pedophilic mental sexual orientation or homosexual sexual orientation to actually, all those things. We don't believe in homosexuality around here actually. So that's the reason why we're not going to be working with people with homosexual orientation. We are very sorry. We respect you. We want you to respect us also. Now, having carried out the extensive researches for you to be able to work with us, where do we put these children? Of course, we need to give them a home, a house. That's why you come in right now, because this is going to be a private-public joint partnership project. We have a lot of our people. Most of you watching me or will be watching me later now, you are built houses in Nigeria. But you stay in diaspora, and your houses are under lock and key. No one is using it. Give us to use them for free. We are not going to be altering the design of your house. We are not going to be carrying out anything, any adjustment in your house. We are not going to even be turning it into an hostel. We don't want to create a hostel for our children. We want to create a home. That's why we call it homes and shelters. The reason why it's homes and shelters is because some will be growing up with us. Some might rejoin with their parents. It will serve as a shelter for them. And some children, from the paper they will be signing before the court and also the law enforcement agency, will say, okay, anytime you feel tired of living in this home, you want to leave, you have every audacity and right to walk out of the home. But if you want to grow up with us, we're going to give you good parenting model. Now, so we said, okay, you have 2 houses. Maybe you are in Nigeria also. You have several houses and you're not living in them. Give us one to use. You are in diaspora, you have built houses here and no one is using it. Please allow us to use them. We have cases, I've been meeting several lawyers of people who are actually giving us their places to use and all that. We want to have these homes in all the nations of the country. We want to have this home. Pending the time we build our home permanent site. You introduce us to your lawyer. We sign the agreement according to your own discretion. And we occupy the house. The thing is, we don't have money to pay you. We also are doing this for the sake of God and for humanity. So we say, okay, give us this place to use. If it's a land you want to give us also to build on, yeah, it's welcome. We appreciate it and all that. So that is how we're going to do it. And what are the services we're going to be providing for these children? We're going to be providing them a house. Yes, that's cool. And then the feeding also. In Greatmen Christian Global Outreach, alias Greatmen Network, we have a Loaves and Fishes Outreach initiative where some people are there collecting money and food every now and then for people who are hungry. People call me every time, come to my inbox, send me text message, I'm hungry and all of that. I was giving them money before, but then the Spirit told me that, come, you can't be giving people money. Some are drug addicts. They will use the money to go and smoke. If anybody says my problem is money, is food, let them come and take food. We have rice, we have beans, we have oil, we have all of this thing, we have chicken. Give them food that they ask for and let them go. If anybody say my problem is sickness, raise money for them, pay the hospital, let them take care of them. So the wisdom came and we said, okay, we're going to be using the Loaves and Fishes outreach under our organization to source for food for these children in the home. It's not leaving anybody out. You have some change, 10,000 naira here, 2,000 naira here, 5,000 naira here, 100 euro here and all that. You can even make it a monthly contribution on your own accord and say, okay, I'm going to be sending this amount of money to this particular project in Nigeria, or with people here, going to be sharing this with them every single month. You have a bag of rice, edibles and all that. We appreciate them. So that we can use it to train these children up. All right, so the feeding is there. In feeding also, we are going to be approaching people who manufacture foods, maybe like noodles company, ShopRite and the rest of them. There are so many food that they have that is about to expire and is still edible and no one is buying it. We're going to be writing a letter for them to give us such food so that we can give these children balanced diet. We are concerned about their health very well. And then the next thing we're going to be providing them is clothing. People live in diaspora, they live at home and they have clothing, they are not using it. You have people who want to dispose clothes around you. You can ship it to us, you can send it to us, you can tell us, you can collect them. We're going to be taking in children from different sizes and age into the house, and we're going to be needing those clothing for them to be well clothed. We know that their appearance matters a lot, and we want to take away everything that will make them want to say we want to go and hustle for money. All those children that are cleaning windshield in the streets of Lagos, all those children that are doing agbero, all those children that are doing alaru, load carrier in the marketplace, sleeping around. We want to raise them up as a whole leader. We want to purge in, we want to puke in our own mentality of leadership into them. We want to raise our own kind of leaders. And then we're going to be offering them education also. Education in terms of what you want to do. Because of the age gap and then memory lapse also, some of them might not want to go through the conventional academic education. They might want to subscribe into artisan education. We're going to be helping them with that, but it's a mandatory thing that all the children under our care must know how to read and write, either through homeschooling, scholarship and all of that. We're going to be providing them for them. And then there's going to be health insurance. Our major health scheme is to make sure that prevention is better than cure. That's why when we take a child, when we want to get a child into the home, comprehensive health check is going to be done, and then we're going to be teaching them a lot of scheme about prevention, which is better than cure. And we'll be approaching many health insurance companies in Nigeria to give us this subsidized health scheme for these our children. I forgot to mention that we also, in terms of feeding, we intend to also help our children grow the mentality of self-reliance. When I was growing up in a village, one village in Ogun State, every house must have their own farmland. We grew our own tomato, we grew our own pepper, we grew our own bananas, and I learned how to farm by the virtue of my parent. The fertilizer, our bananas are always big, the tomatoes, they are always gigantic. So we want to help the children also get the mentality of self-reliance in a situation whereby they can also grow their own food. We are not relying on that totally, but we are saying that we are going to be teaching them a bit of farming. It's going to be adventurous. Some of them might be interested, some of them might not be interested. But for those who are interested, we're going to be teaching them. So if you have the skill of poultry farming, if you have the skill of fish farming, if you have the skill of whatever it is, we're going to be calling you into the house. It's going to be like a twice in a month kind of training for our children to learn from people who are already doing good and entrepreneurship and all that. That is the plan we have for these children. But then know that what we need most is the resources, a house, and then the fund to actually reach them. And this is the target. We intend to actually take in at least 100 boys and girls into the house per year. Total aggregate, 100 children into the year, either girls or boys. So at the end of 15 years of this goal, we want to have turned out 1,500 leaders, not by academics, but by mentality. 1,500 leaders in the next 15 years. Before you know, 15 years is here. By 15 years, we want to be able to account for 1,500 leaders whom we raised up, who think like we think, who talk like we talk, who stand for what we stand for, who is ready to take public offices as a place for humanitarian service and not to enrich their own pocket, who believe in attaining divinity through humanity. Children, adults who are ready to say, okay, yeah, I was not trained up to be like this. Young adults who are ready to be in the forefront of leadership, either globally or nationally or continentally. And then in the face of utmost trial and temptation, they will say no to all unrighteousness because of the mentality that we have actually created in them. That is the plan. And for the vulnerable children that we're going to be taking in, we're going to be taking in children from age 5 to 11 into the home. Age 5 to 11. Age 5 to 11. By the time they are clocking 18 years, we will be preparing them for independence. We'll be preparing them for independence. I was trained by my mother, and I started living alone at the age of 17. And I've not done anything to warrant her to be crying all this while. So it's a matter of putting in your value in your children. All the scriptures I've read, either Korean and all that, says that teach a child in the way that he should go. When he grows up, he will not depart from it. That's exactly what I want to do for these children. So age 5 to 11, we'll be taking them in. And I know also that we will be having parents whose children are kind of stubborn and they want them to have some kind of orientation from us. Those ones will be taken in on the cost of their parent. Their parents are going to be sponsoring them into these foster homes and shelter. So I believe strongly that if we can pull through this particular initiative of foster homes and shelter, we can create the kind of leaders we want in this country. These children are going to grow up to occupy the Aso Rock or whatever rock that is present then. They are going to be the speakers of House of Rep, Senate, and then all that. They are going to be filling up vacant vacuums of leadership. They are going to be teachers, engineers, doctors, whatever it may be. And then we don't want to put cancerous people in places that are sensitive. All ramification of parastatals in governance, either as a community governance or grassroots governance or national or federal governance, requires people who are immune to corruption. And this is our own way of making sure that we raise such set of generations that have mutated beyond the level where the cancer of corruption can infect them. This is my own simple plan, and I welcome both old and young, man or woman. If you are at home or you are in abroad, if you are rich or you think of yourself as poor, if you are an individual or corporate organization, if you are a Nigerian or not a Nigerian, either Muslim or Christian, whatever it may be, I ask you to come and support this particular initiative of raising our own set of leaders. We want to turn out 1,500 of them by 15 years' time. God bless you, and this is my prayer for you. Now, whatever your hands find to do, as you begin to exert your energy in making sure that you do them well, the breath of God Almighty will be upon it, and you shall be successful. Don't forget that I told you that you are a miracle worker. Whatever it is that you can do for humanity is the miracle that God has put in your hand to do for them. Follow me on all my social media, Facebook and Instagram at The Great Man Ayilara, at The Great Man Ayilara. And I also enjoin you to also search for me on YouTube, The Great Man Ayilara on YouTube, The Great Man Ayilara on YouTube. Subscribe and press the alarm button so that you can be notified for the update of so many of our projects that we got going on. God bless you now, and do have a nice time now. Regards to family, and I pray that you do well. Bye for now.